My name is Jason Smith, and I work in a computer lab at Gloucester High School in Virginia. The lab has about 50 computers. Some of the students that do work in the computer lab I manage are taking courses not offered at our high school. But the majority of students that I teach are participating in a credit recovery program. This means that they have failed courses in subject areas for which they passed the state-mandated Standard of Learning exams. Because they have passed the Standard of Learning tests, our school is allowing them to make up the coursework that they failed via APEX online curriculum. As a student of educational media design and technology at Full Sail University, I have been completing challenge-based research in my computer lab. I analyzed the needs of my students. They lack motivation, they have missed key learning opportunities during their academic careers, and many of them are about to graduate from high school. My initial media literacy course here at Full Sail demonstrated to me the power of the Google suite of products and services. Later, when I studied learning management systems in depth, it became apparent to me that students were offered just as much or more power from Google products and services as the various other LMS platforms. I opted to challenge my students with creating an online formal internet presence via the Google tools. Students were to create an online home base via iGoogle. They were to create an email address in Gmail. And finally, we customized these Google accounts for specific student needs. I established a workflow for completing my challenge-based research with the ADDIE design process. I learned this process initially in Dr. Deason's educational design and evaluation class at Full Sail. ADDIE is an acronym for Analysis, Design, Development, Implementation, and Evaluation. In the analysis phase of the ADDIE design process, I determined the need of my students. As previously stated, I had overcome their apathy, and I had to find a way for them to learn information that they had missed over their school career. I opted to help them create Google accounts in the design phase. I created my own prototype fake Google student account to help me decide and demonstrate how students should go about the creation process. During the development phase, I attempted to predict any obstacles students might have. It was during this development stage that the importance of encouraging and guiding students as to how to make their accounts formal was essential. Formality would be displayed in the name choices for email accounts, and for Google accounts would also be displayed via aesthetic choices made on iGoogle homepages. I implemented my challenge-based research one-on-one with students. I decided this was the best way to work with these students during the design and development phases. This decision was based primarily on analysis of my students, in which I determined that they respond significantly to one-on-one assistance. I sat down with my students and we got to work. Initially, they lacked confidence in their ability to use technology that they didn't have previous experience with. A common statement from one of my students would be something like, "I don't get it." This is where patience was important with a group of students that I have. While they walk with a lot of swagger, they suffer from not believing in themselves. However, once we got going, students had little difficulty navigating their way through the intuitive Google sign-up process. As an English teacher, I appreciated the opportunity to discuss the concept of formality with my students as they created their accounts. we discussed why they wanted their accounts to be formal before the creation process. The account would be used in the future for purposes such as job hunting and communicating with employers once a job was obtained. Another example I gave was that this would be the email address they might want to email their preacher from, or this might be the account they might want to email their significant other's parents from. These examples help them get an emotional attachment to our goals. The one-on-one teaching approach had a number of advantages, especially with regard to data collection. As I've stated previously, my students can be apathetic or lazy. Students were given pre- and post surveys that they filled out and from which meaningful data was extracted, especially with regard to hard facts such as age and grade. But more abstract or elusive data was best obtained anecdotally via conversations before, during, and after Google account creation. I was also able to observe stress levels in students as they created their accounts. This gave me an idea which parts were more or less difficult for them. For example, students were the most apprehensive in the initial phases of account setup. Students often discussed with me what to name their new Gmail accounts. They also struggle with the names they wanted to use were already taken. This is not surprising, as often my students have trouble with setbacks. I had to explain to them that millions of people already had Gmail accounts and that they would need to find unique accounts that also fit in with the formal standards we were setting. The red text that popped up and told them that the accounts' names were already taken was very frustrating for the students, but they got by that. Also, students needed encouragement as they customized their accounts. We discussed whether they needed to add Google Calendar functionality to their home pages. Overwhelmingly, my students chose to do so. In fact, students shared a number of commonalities in the setups they chose for their accounts. One commonality was the prevalence of an American flag-themed iGoogle homepage, which several students chose. Post-account creation discussions gave me the most significant data of my challenge-based research. I found that students were integrating their Google accounts into their mobile devices, and after a few weeks, it became apparent that these mobile devices using OS X or Android were where students were using their Google accounts the most. I found that several of my students were integrating their work schedules into their Google calendars and that they could check these calendars via their mobile phones, and when they were at work, they could enter their work schedules via their handheld devices. Collecting this kind of data and accomplishing my challenge-based research project has been a powerful tool for preparing me for my academic future. Already, I have been putting great effort into becoming more knowledgeable about the possibilities for handheld devices in the classroom. This is a direct result of the data I collected in my research. The ADDIE process we learned here at Full Sail has enabled me to find a workflow for the infinite variety of challenges we face as educators. To best understand how my research here at Full Sail fits into the larger body of educational pedagogical research, consider this quote from the article Digital Natives 10 Years After, published in the Journal of Online Learning and Teaching. Because the myth of digital natives is still alive and well, this article aims to examine the findings that have come out of recent research with regard to digital natives and their true nature, as well as turn a critical gaze onto the assumptions taken as common sense knowledge of what the characteristics of digital natives are. My research furthers the sort of research described in that quote. It is true that students can probably play their Xbox 360 and PS3 better than you. It's true they can probably text message faster, and it's true that they're probably more aware of the newest internet meme. However, You have spent more time in the workplace than them, and you are likely to know more about using technology for non-recreational purposes than they are. Students don't possess a magical ability to understand technology they've never used before. They must be taught just like anyone else. My research offers new insight into the young people mistakenly stereotyped as digital natives. Thank you.